Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm ready to go out there and lose the entirety of the Vancouver Canucks fanbase that I've built on this YouTube channel. 4-5 years of Vancouver Canucks commentaries on Lego Rocks 99. All of the fans, everybody who has supported this channel because of that Canucks content, I am sorry, but I am ready to drive you away with this video over here. Today, we're going to be talking about Quinn Hughes. Not because of anything in particular that has happened or anything that is going to happen, like, for example, a contract signing or anything of that nature, a trade, nothing like that is going to happen, which is why we're making this video here today. Instead, we're talking about Quinn Hughes mostly as a response, a response to a few things that I'd been seeing pop up on social media a lot over the past few weeks, actually, and something that we saw in Jack Hughes' interview with Elliot Friedman for the 32 Thoughts podcast. I'm going to start calling it the 32 podcast now, 32 Thoughts podcast, because there are 32 teams in the National Hockey League. By the way, who out there remembers when 31 Thoughts was called 30 Thoughts, because there were only 30 teams in the league before Vegas came in 2016? Yeah, that's a big throwback right there now, isn't it? But today we're talking about Quinn Hughes, mostly because, if I'm going to be honest over here, of the New Jersey Devils, and in particular, the fan base of the New Jersey Devils too. Now, I'll be front here, because when it comes to NHL fan bases and seeing what the overall sentiment of the fans in different markets are saying, I like to keep track of different NHL fan bases and try to see what's hot in their organizations, what they're excited for, what are the big stories going on amongst those groups of people, because I just think it's really interesting to see the diversity of fandoms and what exactly it is people are cheering for, even beyond my favorite team, the Vancouver Canucks, and my second, third, and fourth favorite teams, Montreal, Detroit, and LA as well. And this is a thing that I've been seeing a lot with New Jersey Devils fans, especially since the 2021 NHL Entry Draft concluded. Now, you don't need me to tell you what happened at that draft. They drafted 4th overall Luke Hughes, who happens to be the younger brother of their 1st overall pick in 2019, Jack Hughes. And having that brotherly connection on the New Jersey Devils has been a very, very big part of their marketing and their hype, because a whole bunch of fans, a whole bunch of people in the media are super stoked to eventually see Hughes to Hughes and scoring winning goals and all that stuff, because Jack Hughes is a particularly talented NHL center. Luke Hughes projects to be a particularly talented NHL caliber defenseman too. But these two are not the only Hughes on the board that are making impacts at the NHL level amongst their fan bases. Quinn Hughes is the best one. I say best one. So far, he's the best one because he has the most points, and he is the oldest. So by default, since none of them are particularly old, Quinn is the oldest. He was drafted in 2018. So the difference between 21 years old and 19 years old, for example, it's a lot bigger than the difference between, let's say, add 10 years, 31 years old and 29 years old. The difference is a lot smaller then. So by the time 2026 rolls around, when these guys are all over the age of 25, something like that, right? Luke is 18, so maybe give it a few more years after that. We'll see who is the best Hughes brother by then, but today, Quinn has the most points, he has been the most effective. Jack Hughes has not broken out in the way that Devils fans would have wanted him to yet, although I do believe he is on the way, and Luke is still an NHL prospect. So for New Jersey Devils fans, a lot of discourse that I've been seeing amongst their fan base has been pretty simple. We have Jack, we have Luke, when are we getting Quinn? And I don't know if this is just a meme or if people are kind of doing this as an inside joke or whatever, but I've been seeing so many Devils fans talking about how, oh, Quinn needs to sign his contract, he might go short term, he might go 4 or 5 years, and by the time he hits his unrestricted free agency eligibility, that's when we'll be able to sweep in, get him, put him on our team, and have Hughes, and Hughes all on a power play one day. And the amount of times that I have seen this, I don't know if it's a meme or if it's a joke or whatever, the amount of times that I have seen it, it's gotten me particularly worried that Devils fans out there legitimately believe that Quinn Hughes is set to becoming a Devil one day. It's an inevitability, it's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do to change their minds. I don't know if it does happen. I mean, in 2028, maybe Quinn Hughes is a Devil. Maybe he does sign a contract that expires in 2027 and he goes to New Jersey to play with his brothers. Maybe that's the case, but just the way some people are talking about it like it is absolutely going to happen, that is kind of freaking me out a little bit. I just hope we don't have any time travelers who happen to be New Jersey Devils fans. But we're also talking about this topic here because of Jack Hughes' interview that he did with Elliot Friedman and the 32 Thoughts podcast crew. There indeed was a summary that was posted onto the same New Jersey Devils subreddit talking about what exactly the comments were that he made. Here's the post posted by OKDistance6320. This is what Jack Hughes said on the podcast. Now that we got Luke, I don't know if I see myself leaving New Jersey for a while. He also talks about the draft and Luke Hughes realizing that he's going to be a special player. There also is a conversation about Nico Hischier, Lindy Ruff, Matthew Barzal too, recruiting Quinn Hughes, as well as how Ty Smith is roughing it in New Jersey because they don't currently have any furniture in their place. Now, I will leave a link in the description to the entire podcast episode as well if you want to go ahead and listen to that. I just kind of screenshotted this because it's easier to screenshot the text and put it over onto the screen over here. But it's getting to a point now where Jack is apparently joking around about recruiting Quinn over to New Jersey. Nico Hischier's in on this as well, not to mention Lindy Ruff and Matthew Barzal of all people. Why does Matthew Barzal have himself a say in this conversation? I didn't know that Barzal was friends with the Hughes brothers, man. Plus, he plays in New York. He is from Coquitlam. He's not really having any ties to the NTDP boys and the Hughes brothers and everything. That's just kind of a funny connection that I found over there. There are indeed some other pretty interesting tidbits where Jack says that he wanted to text Fitzy every day, "We gotta take Luke." He says it's just a game, but this means a lot more because it means he and Luke will get to grow up together. The day of the draft, Trevor Zegras texted Jack Hughes, "Luke to Anaheim," and Jack fell for it. There also, indeed, are many other thoughts over here that kind of go over a few other things relating to Barzal and Ty Smith and all that, but the most interesting one here that relates to this conversation is right here. Jack and Quinn bought a house together in Michigan. Regarding Canucks fans being paranoid about Quinn to New Jersey, I started the recruitment process. Ah, boy, Jack. Always playful, isn't he? Here's the full quote. It's actually the same interview and all that. It's just that Taj transcribed it and posted it onto Twitter. Elliot says that all the Vancouver fans are paranoid that Quinn Hughes is going to be a Devil eventually. Jack replies, I started the recruitment process. He also laughs, so that was a joke. No, but he loves Vancouver. I would love to meet up with him someday. If Quinn ever wanted to come to New Jersey, we would welcome him here with open arms. Oy, 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 eh? And it's kind of crazy because this isn't the first time this has happened. We had the Stalls in the mid-2000s, and that was kind of a similar situation. We had Jordan and Eric going around Carolina. Jordan was on Pittsburgh. We had Jared, who went to Carolina too. They were all on Carolina at the same time, but Jared Stahl just unfortunately never stuck around. But Mark Stahl, he was kind of the outlier here because he was drafted by New York in 2005, and guess what? He stuck around with New York for a very long time until 2020-2021, where he was traded over to Detroit, where he is still technically there today. So it is not really all too different of a situation when you take a look at the Hughes bros. Sure, two of them were drafted by the same team, as opposed to the Stalls, where they were all drafted separately and eventually made their way onto one team one way or another as time went on, but there still was that one guy that stuck around with his original team and didn't end up going. Now, that's not to say that there were no negotiations or no talks going about as to whether or not Mark Stahl would have ever become a Carolina Hurricane. I'm sure there was probably some discussion elsewhere in the family or amongst the GMs, probably, right? Like, it's a cool story to have, but at the end of the day, you don't run your hockey teams based off of the last names on the jerseys. You run your hockey teams based off of who they are, the styles they play, and how well those styles complement other players. Not necessarily because, strictly, they happen to be brothers. Now, I know the recent trends of NHL teams have kind of contradicted that statement with the Hugheses, of course. You have Makar, two of them, Taylor Makar going over to Colorado, Doan's kid heading over to Arizona, and the two Docs and the two Joneses. It's kind of all over the place. But At the end of the day, Quinn to New Jersey? I don't know what to think, man. I just hope it never happens, I want Quinn to be a Canuck for life. Talk to me in the comments what do you think about this entire conversation over here. Should I be worried as a Canucks fan? If you're a Devils fan, do you want Quinn to come over? Do you think he's going to one day? Talk to me in the comments what your opinions are on that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rolls 99. And bye.